And we're back. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Paradox Vision podcast, where we're all about proving or disproving the impossible. It's all about perception. This week I thought we'd talk about frequencies and vibrations. Not necessarily music this week, but something a little bit different. Talking more of the vibrations of life. So I thought we'd start with our What I Learned This Week segment of the day. So one thing is that everything seems to move in waves, whether that be colors, life itself, the way the trees and everything communicates, your brain, everything moves on waves. So this would be an interesting place to start. So when it comes to waves, it's also a system of communication. When it comes to animals in the ocean, they are able to use a sonar. This isn't something that they were initially thought to have had, but acquired over the years. They needed to be able to determine where other predators are. They needed to be able to communicate with each other, especially when they migrate. A great example would be one of the smartest animals ever that doesn't get enough credit and seems to be locked up often, even though they're on an intellectual level a lot higher than a lot of species. That's the dolphin. So dolphins are cool. Everybody loves to see them do the tricks. They actually do have a way of communication. The play that they do, they run sophisticated games. So when it comes to sonar, their communication levels are able to send out signals throughout the ocean. Imagine if we were able to do that as humans. We haven't even evolved to that level yet. They evolved this feature out of necessity. Another cool feature that they have is that when they sleep, only half their brain turns off for rest. The other one has to remain vigilant, so they keep one eye open. So when you think of the term sleep with one eye open, you can thank the dolphin. But back to our frequencies conversation. So when it comes to waves, frequencies, sound, it's all very important. When you look at even sleep, some people use sleep aids. They need the music, they need the sound of the TV, fall asleep with the TV on, white noise from the radio. It's all coming through sound. From what I've been able to acquire, just learning and reading about it this week, it's the optimal sound is about 432 hertz to help with sleep. So what that does is it can be whether done as a hum. I like there's the YouTube videos usually the black screen, then we'll have the audio play. That's going to put your mind at a calm and helps you get into a deeper sleep. There's also an adverse one, which is 528 hertz when played in the morning, which is a lot of people that practice yoga, meditation, things of that nature. They already knew this. They've been using it for years. So with that one, it'll actually help boost and improve your energy throughout the day. So when you think about it, sound waves can help in more than one, not just communication, it's not just being able to sleep, but actually your mood. You ever had that feeling when somebody's having a bad day or a happy day, you kind of feel their energy? They might be emitting waves that we're not able to see or even understand at this point. But you try to do what you can to change that, because when they're not feeling well, they can kind of push that emotion onto you without you even wanting it first. Nobody wants bad emotion, but you even knowing that it's happening. So I think that it might have something to do with the waves that we send out as humans that we can't really understand at the moment. I'm sure Amazon or Facebook maybe has a way to read minds. That's probably further down the road, but not too far if you see the metaverse. But when it comes to the waves of the body, the mind, it all seems to be a way of communicating we just haven't been able to adapt to yet. But we mimic. So when it comes to the sonars, just like with the whales, and again back to dolphins, they're able to emit out the signal bounces back, and they're able to get all the information that way. We do the same, but we don't have the ability to do it firsthand, so we have to create things. So if you think about a submarine, same thing, sends out the sonar signal, which again moves in waves. and it bounces back, and you can kind of determine where things are in the ocean. You can see if there's any, and if you're thinking in military terms, seeing if there's any other battleships out, if there's any submarines that may be below. You can kind of get that and map it out that way. So waves was basically the topic of the week. What I've been trying to do, and which I saw was a very, very interesting study. I think it was a TED Talk maybe. There was I think it's a sound doctor that was working with a patient that had Alzheimer's. So with that, he had actually diagnosed and then prescribed for the patient, ended up being a woman. Every week they do weekly tests. Once they test the mind, they got their control. So from there, he would test her every single week. The prescription was 15 minutes at 40 hertz. Apparently, what he determined is that if the brain isn't communicating on the same level, that can cause certain ailments of the mind. So when you think about the 40 hertz, and if you think about your brain, if it's moving on two different waves and that's causing an issue of your body, what the 40 hertz, 15 minutes a day for a month is supposed to do is level it out. That way your brain is connected and it's all moving in the same path. Amazingly, after he continued to test throughout the months, he couldn't even tell that she had Alzheimer's anymore. I haven't seen any studies since, so I can't back that against anybody else's research, but that was just one interesting TED Talk that I had saw. But yeah, over a month she had improved. The memory had improved. She was more sharp. She was able to do the test. I have to actually see the test because there's also, maybe she just knew the questions, but even in knowing the questions, I guess that's memory. And I guess that would still be impressive if that was able to work. But there's another interesting thing we got to discuss next week, which is actually the waves of color. That there's a lot to break down there, so we'll go through that next week. But also, what is it that's gonna allow us to evolve and maybe get a way of interacting? Because it's clearly possible that animals are able to send out the waves, get information. Is our adaptation the cell phone, the radio? Because if you think about it, radio waves, television waves, it's all just being thrown into space, into nowhere. And then there's a receiver that's taking it down and you gain the information there. So I'm wondering if we might not ever evolve to receive that particular special ability just because we have phones. Nobody's going to need to adapt the mind to grow when you have something that makes it easier, when you can just pull out your phone. You don't really need sonar to see where a friend is or to say hello. You just send a text, you call. So it can be seen, one, as a hindrance or it can be an improvement because you can video chat. You don't need to necessarily send out a signal, a wave to try to find out where the family is, what they're up to, what they're doing, or if they're ready to go hang out, head out, whatever it's going to be. Even when it comes to the not having a phone on you or on, it seems like we've become lost. Our evolution seemed to be more adapting to the technology versus adapting in our own selves. So I mean, if you think about it, our evolution was just really adapting to the information that's provided through a device. So in a way, we're cyborgs now. So welcome to the new era, I guess. Well, that's been what I learned this week, rather. So I thought we'd jump into sports next. And now it's time for our sports segment. So let's go over as ESPN and Fox Sports know, we're legally obligated to do at least one LeBron segment per day. So I thought we'd do our LeBron update of the week. So this week's topic is all about a tweet. So he tweeted, "Congratulations to Steph Curry, who just broke the three-point record yesterday." Well, when you listen to this, probably Friday, 2 days ago. So he tweeted about that, and that was the trending topic on Twitter. It was also a trending topic on Bleacher Report. So there you go. We got our obligated. Oh no, that wasn't long enough. Okay, they also found a new stat. So LeBron was the oldest player to record a 30-point triple double. I always find it funny how ESPN seems to create a stat every single year that nobody ever tracked, so people become the first. I wonder how much their statisticians get paid. They're really creative. They'll think of different ways that maybe a rebound got picked up. There's never been a rebound picked up at halftime within 36 seconds, or not even just basketball. Football, though, there's never been a pass made from the third down and converted into a touchdown from the 1 yard line at this point in the game, at this part of the season. It's ridiculous. But we got our LeBron segment in. So let's get to one thing that was trending worldwide, but might not be followed as much in America. Me personally, I do like the Formula One racing. It's I can't get with NASCAR. It's just too many laps. 500 is way too many. But if you give me the cars moving, it's only about 50 laps, so I can do that. So my favorite racer is Lewis Hamilton. So he and his rival, I guess you can call him, Max Verstappen, were racing for the championship. I don't think it's ever gone down to the final race of the year. So basically, whoever wins that, or if Lewis Hamilton doesn't win that, wins the championship. So everything was going fine until there's maybe 5 laps left. There was a crash. So this crash ended up halting the race, which is what results in what's called, they put out the yellow, there's the safety car that goes out, they have to clear the track. Cool. Lewis is a shoe-in to win. There's 5 laps left. He's maybe 10 seconds ahead, which is a pretty big lead in Formula One. I know it's different, not really an American sport yet, but it's growing. So he ultimately, after they clear the track, they put out what's called a blue situation on the track, which is where they need everybody that's in front of Verstappen, who is the leader in points at that. Well, they're tied on points, but he has more wins. They make both racers even, which has never been done before. So think about it. You're in a race. You're 10 seconds ahead of the person that's also behind a group of other people because you've lapped them. They stop the race. They make you guys run evenly together to finish the race. Not just that, the racer that you're running against, because he was able to go into pit, he changed his tires. He had fresh tires. Lewis has been running on these tires. So the controversy is he got fresh tires, 5 laps. You're going to now become even. So imagine me, you're in front of the race, I pull you back, and now I switch my shoes are fresh. You're running on old shoes that you haven't changed in a week. So now they say go. Alright, so the world was shocked. Basically, it went down to that last lap. Fresh tires versus old tires. Of course, the fresh tires win. And you basically you take away your lead. You're going even, and now you're going to the end. So ultimately, Verstappen won. He'd never won a championship before. Controversial ending. That set the internet ablaze. I was mad. So that was crazy, but that was the one topic I wanted to hit. I saw it was all over online, which this has been pretty cool season anyway, but it was cool to see it was trending. Yeah, that was it for sports. I just wanted to talk about that because I was a little upset. I thought they would rerun it. Lewis, grab your lawyers. I don't know, petition. We got to rerun that because that wasn't fair. You should have won it. Should have won the championship. But I guess we'll move on. So frustration of the week. It's not Formula One this time. So I guess we'll move on to the next thing. It's Christmas season, so Christmas shopping, which everybody loves to do and hates to do at the same time. Everybody's out. Everybody's trying to grab items. Well, I guess not. I'm old school. I love to go into the store, grab the actual item. I hate waiting for Amazon. I don't care if it's the next day, same day, same hour. There's nothing like going in and buying the item. There's a joy in it. One way that I can see Amazon taking over again is the shopping part isn't even the worst part. It's the traffic that it generates. I go into a plaza, right? There's the one way in, one way out. It takes me longer to get out of the parking lot than it does to get the actual items. Why not, call me crazy, open up another way to exit out? I know this is profound thinking. I know it's like Elon or Bezos level, but like, why not have more ways to exit? If you have one way, it's going to take forever. If you have multiple, it cuts time in half. That's one of the frustrations is the time that it takes. So if you eliminate that, maybe retail-wise, you'll get more people coming in. Just food for thought. But that was the frustration of the week. Everybody loves the holidays, the seasons, the energy, it's just different. The best part is obviously giving the gifts. And it's true. It's not just a cliche. It is more fun to give than it is to receive. So, I mean, to that point, keep giving. I did some more research, I guess, this week. There was the passing of Virgil Abloh, the designer, which I thought was interesting. Anytime you have like a nuanced or like a genius level of thinking, it's always good to kind of research what their methodologies is. I wasn't too familiar with the work. Of course, I was familiar with the Off-White brand, but just the person itself, I did a little bit more research. It was interesting. Whole concept of with history, where the term Off-White is kind of like the in between the luxury and the streetwear. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So it's not, life isn't black and white. It's not necessarily gray, but it's Off-White. It's one way I saw it described. He has some interesting topics, like the whole. There was a 3% port that he used when came to designing. He never wanted to alter the product more than about 3% of its original. So his initial hoodies were not really part of that concept, but more so when he began to apply the zip ties, or he might just draw on it. It's that 3% alteration that he was adding, because again, going back to the vibrations and frequencies, no idea is new. It's impossible really to come up with something new that might have been thought of by somebody else. Whether the information is being pulled down, if it's being shared between minds, nothing really is new under the sun. Everything at some point was thought of by someone else. It might just been executed faster. So it's all about execution. But that's an interesting concept of only changing the 3%. There was, I think it was Salvador Dali, always had the quote, what was it? Good artists. Was it good artists steal? Oh, good artists borrow, great artists steal. So I don't think it means necessarily stealing the whole concept, but just borrowing. Everybody has some sort of mentor, some sort of person you look up to. It's just an alteration of something that's old that becomes new. So I mean, if you think about art in itself, it usually moves in periods. So when you had the Renaissance period, most of the art kind of was inspired by what was at the time the topic of concept with the cubism that was done, that began to influence those, even coming back to now when it comes to art, abstract. To have a concept, you have to have more than one person kind of contribute to it. So while it may become new to your era or new to the people around you, it was probably already being done at either some other period of time. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe, share, tell a friend, or visit our website, www.paradoxvsn.com. Thanks.